So,
one quick thing I wanted to mention. I talked about this with Erin Lavaroni yesterday.
Yeah.
And when she works with a client, she has them set up these like if-then statements for when they hit rough patches. So it's like, if this happens, then I'll do this. So if I accidentally, if I eat a donut, then I will not eat another donut that day, or I will go for a walk after. So that it's like, when you fail, you don't just be like, oh, fuck, I failed, I quit, I'm done. It's built in. You kind of walk yourself through like, okay, there are going to be moments where I might fuck up, but this is how I'm going to react and continue on.
Oh, interesting.
And I think that could be good with this kind of thing we're talking about with failing as well, is walking yourself through, like kind of calculating your downside, but it's almost like your emotional downside. It's like,
right,
I'm going to feel bad about it at this point. I'm going to want to quit. That's going to happen. What should I do when that happens? Yeah. And then when that comes, you're like, okay, I knew this was going to happen. This is how I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. I love that. I think there's a lot of truth in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The marshmallow experiment. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So have you heard of this experiment?
Oh, yeah.
It's a fun
one.
Yeah, it's a fun one where people usually, the experiment is that at a young age, can you predict how successful people can be at an older age? And it has a lot to do with willpower. And I think, we were talking about entrepreneurship. Maybe at a young age, you could also try and decipher this as well, where can you, so the experiment goes that, you have kids come in, and the people who can withstand the marshmallow for a period of time for a larger reward later. So you can have one marshmallow now, or you can have 3 marshmallow later, but you have to wait, and they're literally right here.
And then they leave you in the room alone.
Yeah. They leave you in the room, and there's a really cute video on YouTube about these kids like trying to distract themselves. They're like looking everywhere, trying to not. One guy's like licking the marshmallow and like doesn't really count. But yeah, there's like and so they track these people over time. And then it turns out that there's like a huge benefit in like people who were able to withstand eating it for that larger reward. And I think the benefits were like higher SAT scores, higher lower BMI, and then coping skills for adulthood and adolescence. Like they were able to kind of get to that.
Right.
Which is so
delayed gratification.
Yeah, which is so impressive. Which makes me think that it could be somewhat. Maybe cultivated at somewhat of a young age. And there's this other one where it was similar to this experiment called hot and cold. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling when it comes to motivation. Where
hot and cold. Yeah,
so the concept is, during, it's very similar to this marshmallow test, you could tell the kid, or maybe like later in life, you could say, could I have think of it when it's at a cold moment. So you're thinking, just picture the marshmallow instead of a hot one, which would be the emotion of eating it, and how does it taste, and how does it smell, And the interesting thing there is that the ones which are hot allow you to not have as much motivation. I mean, the level of motivation goes up for the pitcher one, because
the cold.
The cold one, and that's so interesting to me. That
wait. So explain that more. So if you have the cold visualization, which is just like I see a marshmallow, versus the hot one, which is like the sensational imagining eating it.
Yeah.
So are you saying the person who imagines the cold thing has an easier time staying away from those?
Yeah, so it goes, so if you think of cool systems, which are like thinking of the marshmallow as like a pitcher, then you're able to delay gratification more.
Okay.
And compared to if you had hot aspects of it, which is like tasting it or smelling it.
Yeah.
And so you can enhance self-control by thinking of systems as hot and cold, which really made me think of, motivation versus willpower. Like motivation is kind of this fluctuating thing where you're like, man, I'm so motivated. You watch like David Goggins video and you're like, I'm about to kill this thing. But it's fluctuating, right? You don't feel that way every day. Yeah. But with willpower, I feel like it's more steady, and then it's more controllable, and it's actually a muscle like that.
It's something you want to build in. And this is another thing from Aaron. People with the highest willpower use it the least.
Oh, tell me about that. What do you mean?
Yeah, and similar in this book, which is like you don't want to use your willpower too much or it gets overloaded. The people with the most willpower are the ones who have their environment set up so that they don't need to use it. And basically you're building these neural patterns. That's like, I don't eat cookies. I don't have a choice to, but I don't.
Yeah.
Then when you go out and there's cookies, you're like, oh, I don't eat cookies. Because you've already built up that pathway in your brain. By not having cookies around, you never eat them.
Oh, interesting. Right.
And so it's really interesting. The people with the strongest willpower don't use it the most.
Damn. Does it get weaker over time then? Because you don't use it that much?
That's what I was thinking. Is like, wouldn't it? But I think it's that you're building that neural pathway. That's like, I don't watch YouTube too much, or I don't do this because it's not accessible to me.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought because, there was this other study while I was like researching willpower. It seems so interesting because, so the study with like radishes versus cookies. Have you heard of that study?
It's here. Yeah, I have not.
You have not. It's a really interesting study. So the way that the experiment goes is you have two dishes when you come into the room.
Oh, yeah, okay.
One's radish and then one's a cookie or like a couple of cookies. And so the thought is that is it a biological thing? Motivation, is it a biological thing? So or is there a well of it? Mm-hmm. Like, do you just lose out?
Is there a certain amount?
Yeah, is there a certain amount of willpower? And it's interesting that the people who use the willpower not to eat the cookies or smell the cookies and used up the reservoir to resist and just ate the radishes, those people had less willpower to do the puzzle or whatever activity came after, compared to the ones who ate the cookies. They're like, they had more willpower. Yeah, it's the opposite of what I would have thought.
It is so interesting. Yeah. It is something that like tires. You run out of it.
Right.
There's a similar one in this book, The Willpower Instinct, where she talks about this study where they do something similar, where they make people resist some food and they like have them fast for a day. So it's like really bad.
Even more. Yeah.
And then they let one group eat the cookies or candy, and then the other group didn't get to, and then they were like, okay, eat however many you want. And the group who had to resist ate so much more.
Oh, no kidding.
When they were allowed it.
Wow.
Because they used up all that
willpower. Yeah, it might be a depleted resource.
Yeah, and then there's something in this book about how it's related to blood sugar. It's like when you get an increase, so it's not the blood sugar level, but it's the derivative of that. So it's like if it's increasing, you feel more willpower because your body's like, okay, we're gaining nutrients. Like we have the ability to make hard decisions.
That's right. And I think
whereas when it's decreasing, that's when you're...
I think you're absolutely right, because I think there is a sense of, and they usually say this, like, there's another study about glucose, so that they have like 2 cups, one with water and glucose, and then the other one with just water and an artificial sweetener, which is a dummy. And so the people who had the glucose, they had more willpower compared to the ones who didn't. So it makes you think it might be a biological phenomenon where people are, able to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it's 2 parts of your brain fighting each other. I mean, they don't have to be fighting if you can get them aligned, but that's like when you're making a hard choice. It's your prefrontal cortex, which is your thinking, rational brain, and then it's your limbic system, which is the emotional.
They're fighting each other when using,
because it's usually your emotional state is like, oh, I want to lay down. I want to eat this cookie. And then your rational side is like, no, like that's not what's best for us right now. And so which one wins is typically just defined by like your energy level.
Interesting.
Or if you have like those neural circuits grooved in. Yeah.
And I think there is something to be said about like the habit of it. If you get into the habit of doing something for a long time, then
that circuit is clearly defined and it's easier.
Yeah. What are your tricks to do that? Like, how do you trick yourself into doing things that you don't want to do? Creating
a habit in that way. I think like that accessibility stuff is super important. So not
having snacks around.
Not having the snacks around. Another one is finding things you enjoy And then also like picking out the enjoyable parts when you're doing them. So like if I go for a walk with my weighted vest on, I try and make sure to enjoy it. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. Like it's hot out, but the sun's out. It's nice. I'm with my dog. Like picking out the good parts so that your brain associates it with a good thing. That can help a lot. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I think really, really trying to just find the good aspects of what you're doing. So it's like I work for an hour on something and then I have some positive results. Like it feels good after because I'm like, oh, I created this thing. This is good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you have reward systems that you put in place for tasks that you complete?
Not really. Not external rewards.
Oh,
it's
really?
usually just like whatever I worked on.
Okay.
I enjoy that working. But I make sure to connect that in my brain.
Yeah, I think I can kind of see your perspective, but I remember you and I were going back and forth about like a cheat day. My thing is like, man, Saturdays, I can't wait for that cheat day thing. But what's your take on that? But you're
so
saying don't do that.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Okay.
I think it can be good to give yourself some kind of reward. The only thing about cheat days that I don't like is the kind of unconsciousness of it, where it's just like, oh, it's a cheat day, nothing counts today. I'll eat whatever. I don't care. I think you still want to be aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
So it could be like, for some people, they'll be like, okay, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to scroll on Instagram because I worked really hard on this thing. I think that's fine as long as you're aware and conscious of what you're doing.
So still calorie count even on your cheat day is what you're saying?
Yes, if you are calorie counting.
Yeah.
Just be aware of what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm eating this cookie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah. And one of the tricks that you taught me was so like I use it so much, which is take like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to like before you eat that thing. Like let's say you got like pizza waiting or something, and you're just take 5 minutes and be like, I'm about to eat this pizza. And then somehow something happens in your brain.
Aaron called this surfing the urge.
Oh, I see.
So you just let the urge, you just ride it for a little bit, and it's an emotional thing. So it goes up and down. It's gonna go down, and then you can be like, okay, do I still want to eat it? Maybe you still do. Yeah. But the thing is, if you keep doing that, at some point you're probably gonna like start not eating it. You'll be like, right, okay, I surfed the urge. I don't really want to eat it anymore. Yeah. And that's a win in itself. So even if you are trying to build a habit, that's really important, is finding small wins. This was something I heard in a podcast with Alex Hormozy, where he's like, let's say you do a fitness routine, you start a new one, and you make it 4 weeks, and then you quit. And then you try one like a few months later, and you make it 6 weeks, and you quit. That's a win. Because you made it longer before you quit. So it's like, take whatever wins you can.